Hey, what is up, white people and a few minorities? Hey, y'all doing good? I am Gordon. I'm happy to be out here. Might as well get to know who is in here. How y'all doing? Look like a couple? Friends? Friends? Of course. All right. You said that quick. Why just friends? Just met through work. Is this some kind of HR situation? Should I tell somebody? Did he follow you here? You both agreed to be here. Good. All right. What kind of work do you guys do? Huh? Technical consulting. That's white as shit. All right. It's very vague. Technical consulting. What does that mean?
We teach clients how to use software.
Oh, you teach old people how to do shit. All right. This is Twitter. All right. Don't say anything racist. All right. What's going on here? How y'all doing? Are y'all together? Married. All right. I was about to say, what the fuck is up with y'all? This is the most sentimental crowd ever. We're friends. Oh, we're married. Oh, it's like it's a goddamn Disney movie. All right. How long y'all been married? 8 months. Say what? 2 weddings. What kind of rich baller shit are you trying to brag about? We've been married 8 months, but we got married every 4 months. We're trying to get married 3 times a year, if possible. Hit all the seasons. Why the fuck did y'all have 2 weddings? Oh, a COVID wedding and then in Germany. At a castle. Damn, she bragging. At a castle. At a castle. A castle! Had a drawbridge and everything. It was beautiful. Y'all brown as hell. Y'all brown asses had a German wedding with a castle? No one, I'm the only one that finds that strange? All right, I'll go fuck myself. All right, just 2 brown people like, let's go to a castle in Germany and get married. You're from Germany? Gugentag or Volkswagen. Anybody know German in here? Oh, dang. Oh, there's a whole bunch of Germans in there. Yeah, watch how y'all raise your hands. They did that shit like, yeah. I'm single. Anybody else single? All right, y'all say, y'all reluctant like I'm trying to fuck y'all. Relax. I just got out of a 7-year relationship with a Dominican woman. Yeah, that's a nice way of... Did she stab you just now? Ooh. Dating a Dominican woman for 7 years is a nice way of saying I dated someone with a very big forehead for 7 years. Muy big cabeza. I made her feel cute about her forehead. I used to call it my backboard for kisses. I used to say that. I'm on Bumble, Tinder, and Hinge. Anybody else? 3 people, that's it? It's got 1 billion downloads. It's only me and 3 other people? Fuck y'all, all right. I like to tell white people this. White people, please tell your black and brown friends about Bumble, Tinder, and Hinge. Because I swear to God, I am the only nigga on these apps. I am swiping through white women like I'm walking through a blizzard, okay? I'm like, hello, is anyone brown out there? Shaniqua, yell out. I don't think I have any success on these dating apps because I don't take pictures the right way. I don't have a good profile picture. I don't do what all the other dudes do. Like white dudes, they figured it out. You know what white dudes do to get pussy online? They take a picture of themselves holding up a fish. Every white dude has a fish picture. They hold up a fish like, my name's Hank and this is a halibut. I do IT, but I'm also a hunter-gatherer, as you can see. You wanna go get drinks? Are you ladies banging these fish dudes? No. Somebody said it, no. I met a dude with a salmon, he's an asshole. I will never see him again. Like men and women, we do dating apps totally differently from each other. Like, for example, like ladies, do you even change the mile radius when you go on a dating app? Oh, well, yeah. One lady said, yeah. Ma'am, what do you put your mile radius up to? Like 5 miles. 5 miles. See that? All the men are laughing because, like, ladies are like, that's nice. 5 miles? Ooh, 5K. Every man's laughing because every man in this room has put it up to 1,000 miles. Every man's like, is there a pussy on the moon? I'll go to the moon. I'll get cleared by NASA. I'll bang in 0 gravity. My mom and my grandmother are really trying to help me get single. Not be single anymore. You know what they're doing? They're actually walking around with me. Like, we were walking around in the park. She saw this attractive girl. It's my grandmother. She's older. She doesn't understand. She sees the attractive girl. She says, Gordon, you should holler at her. Gordon, go over there, holler at her. And I go, no, Grandma. She goes, no, stop it. Don't be dumb. Go holler. She's attractive. I'm going to go, no, Grandma. That is catcalling. Women don't like catcalling nowadays. And my grandmother's reply was, bitches these days. I was like, what the fuck? And that's when I realized that's how my grandmother met my grandfather. Wasn't something cute. She was walking down the street. He was like, hey, where you going with that fat ass? To raise your family. All right. This man knows a fat ass when he sees one. Please put your hands together for Usama Siddiqui, everybody.
What's up? I fucking lost my voice last week. My voice was fucking gone. When you lose your voice, every female friend, so supportive, right? Are you okay? You need a lozenge, right? And every male friend is like, yo, you lost your voice because you were sucking mad dick. Dude, as straight dudes, we gotta update the gay jokes. The joke should be, yo, you were sucking mad dick, and it was helping you understand who you are. And we're here for you. I just think 2022, we gotta support our gay friends more, right? Take it a step further. 2022, if your boy comes out as gay, suck your boy off. Suck your boy off! Put the cum back in camaraderie, all right? Suck your boy off. Some of y'all are Spanish. Put the cum back in compadre, all right? Saquito. Are y'all boys? Prove it. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on. He was kind of being ironic, and he was like, finally. Unclenched jaw, it's time! Here's the I grew up homophobic. I grew up Muslim. So when you're Muslim, when you're 4 years old, some old guy in a beard comes in and he's like, don't like gay people. And he like blows like anti-gay dust in your eyes. And then you're like, oh, it is pretty unnatural. All those dudes who teach homophobia in the church and the mosque, they're creepy guys. They're all creepy guys. They come in, they're like, hey, don't like gay people, okay? The hand rub is the ultimate creepy guy move right here, right? If you ever see a guy doing this and there's no lotion, run. He's there to induce trauma. We all had homophobic dads. All of our dads are homophobic. Old black dudes homophobic, right? But they're funny because when they want to call someone gay, they'll say everything besides the word gay, right? So they'll be like, yo, your friend Jimmy a little loose in the shoes. right? All I'm saying is the boy plays tambourine. Sir, are you saying he's gay? I ain't saying shit. But the boy likes to slip and slide. I'm not hating. All our dads are homophobic. All our dads are. They all say it the same way, right? They're like, your friend's a little... Why is this the universal sign for gay? My dad was talking about your friend like this. I'm like, Dad, do you think that homosexuality is Parkinson's? Your friend, Michael J. Cox. I mean, dude, my Muslim leader's doing homophobic speeches every Friday, right? But they were doing it in like deep Arabic, okay? So it'd be like, I'm like, how are you gonna hate on gay people while sounding like you're sucking a dick, right? Right? You can't be homophobic and be like, don't tell my mom. And I love my dad, I love my mom, immigrant ass mom. Intense, right? White moms, I wish I had a white mom growing up. White mom chores were cute, right? Hunter, take out the trash. Right? And then Hunter's like, Mom, you're a bitch. Right? Hunter, please. Fine, whore, I'll do it. But know that you're a slut, Mom. White mom chores were cute. Immigrant mom chores were like, hey, go fix my business. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll put on my work diapers. You know what I'm saying? Immigrant moms never say I love you. One time I texted my mom, I love you. Her response, sounds good. You feel that, right? One time my brother texted her, I love you. She wrote back, LOL. Okay? It's a joke. Who has a mom that can aim the FaceTime correctly when they FaceTime? Zero, right? They got no idea what's going on. They have no concept. My mom's like, hello, plop, right? Right here. Hold on. Mom, it's FaceTime, not left tit time. Right? Having a full conversation with her fucking breast, right? And half of me is like disgusted, and half of me is like, yo, it's been a while. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Spring Break 91, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, my mom an old school bitch, you know. Still beats me to this day, still beats me. Clap it up if your parents whooped your ass growing up. Yeah, okay. Minorities clapping, white people, you mean like timeouts? I mean, I was in my room a lot, does that count? Okay, your mom whooped your ass, but like my mom whooped my spirit. My mom whooped me every day. I was actually born white, like y'all. All this is just bruises. But yeah, every day, here's the thing. My mom, you know, it was funny, because when she beat me, you know, she didn't know any English, right? One time she was trying to beat me, I got so mad, I was like, Mom, you cunt. Swear to God, she was like, don't tell me what I can't do. That's immigrant shit. My mom is crazy. She's crazy, though. All our moms who beat us were crazy, right? One time, I just left my socks on the floor. She was like, hey, Sama, don't leave your socks on the floor. I never should have had you. She went from 0 to abortion in 1 second. That's a cold woman. But do you care? Do you care your mom beat you? Like, do you give a fuck, really? My mom would whoop me and then feed me Indian food afterwards. Y'all know Indian food is so good, it kind of undoes child abuse, right? My mom would hit me, I'd be like, yo, fuck you, Mom. Have one bite of her chicken curry, be like, you know what, she never should have had me. I get it. That's why I feel bad for white people who got beat, because your cuisine also sucks. Right? Can you imagine getting hit by your dad and having green bean casserole? Like, one bite of green bean casserole, you're like, Dad, just molest me again. Right? Like, I love it. 90% of y'all laughing, 10% having flashbacks. I see y'all right now. It's a lot. I love my dad too. I don't hate my dad. My dad's beautiful, immigrant guy, you know, full of shit, right? How much money he didn't have in his pocket story when he came to this country, bullshit, right? When I come to this country, only $5 in the pocket. I'm like, how did you leave the airport? Right? Terminal B to Terminal E is a $10 cab ride, I thought. And next year, Usama, in my pocket, only 50 cents I had on. Next year, Usama, only a piece of paper that said 0. Then the bullshit continues, and I sell that piece of paper, and I start my own business. Full of shit. It's pure full of shit. And as the money gets smaller, the craziness of their school commute gets wilder, right? One day, madam, Usama, every day I run 18 miles to school. Every day I swim across a pond. 2 of my friends one time die in the pond. I pull out their car case, I bury it before school. I'm like, Grandma, is this true? She's like, he was homeschooled. Don't listen to him. He's a little, you know, like, he's a little light in the sandal, you know? I love my dad. He was a conservative guy, you know? If we're watching TV and there was a sex scene, he'd change the channel, right? Aladdin, Jasmine going in, he's like, oh shit, fuck, you know? Beauty and the Beast coming in, oh no, which I get, Beauty and the Beast, that's some weird shit, right? Because as a society, we were all like, yo, fucking our dog is wrong. And then Disney was like, what if he was wearing a tuxedo? Huh? Woof woof, huh? I'm just kidding, y'all are a great crowd. Last show I did was not good. It was all fucking Brits, all British people. Dude, what is it with us when we meet a British person? Why is it so hard for us not to mimic their accent? Right? Every time they're like, hello. And we're like, don't do it. Do not, hello. How are you? And no matter how nice they sound, we reply with Peaky Blinders on meth, right? They come in Downton Abbey. How you doing? We're like, how am I doing, innit? Doing all right, innit? All of our British accents are that guy with the lantern who's like, I'll take you across the river. That's all of our British accents. And it's offensive, bro. It's offensive, right? Because when he says hi to me and I go, hello, that's like if I said hi to him and he was like, ding, 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 ding. Right? But I'm allowed to do it because they pillaged us for 200 years, right? So I fucking get the accent, right? One British guy was like, yeah, so we're even, right? I'm like, even? Are you mento? Are you mento? Even. There was no Indian man in 1850 seeing his house burned down, being like, can't wait to say cheerio. You know? It is funny how we're allowed to shit in all the white subcultures in America, right? Like British, haha, right? Irish, fucking LOL, right? Australians, we have no respect for Australians. One time an Australian guy said hi to me, I just replied, kangaroo. That's it. He was like, hi. I'm like, kangaroo, dude. It is so okay to make fun of Australians. Even he was like, yo, spot on. Right? And then there was a smaller Australian in his stomach who was like, yo, spot on. So you can do all the white accents, have a good time. Everyone do the white accents. Do Welsh. Do fucking, Northumbria with a fuck. Who gives a fuck? Can we do an Asian accent? Can he do Asian accent? Maybe once. Can the white guy do Asian accent? Not even. Don't even say the word Chinese, really, right? One time I had a coworker, bro. He was drinking some coffee that was too hot. So he was like, oh. He was fired the next day. The CEO was like, me so appalled, okay? We here at Best Buy do not love you long time. Get out of here! I might hate you. Listen, I don't think Americans are even good at accents. We're not even good. We'll take Denmark's, like Sweden, Norway. It's all like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. Amazing. It all becomes gay German somehow, right? Oh, so cool. Oh yeah. Oh shit. I do think brown people were coming up. You know, people do want to fuck us now. Everyone besides you, but around you, there's a lot of... I'm kidding. You're great. Here's the thing. I think the problem with brown sex symbols is that the names are too white sounding, right? Like Dev, Zane. Won't be any real progress until the hot white cheerleaders, like, you know who I want to fuck? Devaka Nakunakati. I just want to go behind the bleachers and suck off Bala Subramanian. That's progress. Now we're getting somewhere, right? You have to get, we didn't have anybody growing up in Hollywood. Nobody. I remember 20 years ago, my friend was like, hey, who was your favorite Indian actor in Hollywood? I was like, Antonio Banderas. That's all we had. Y'all keep condoms in your wallet still? Yeah? No? Your voice does, for sure, dude. No. Here's the thing. I'm a condom and wallet guy. Listen, it's convenience. It's convenience, dude. My girl's like, no, it's creepy. And I'm like, where else you want us to put it? Wouldn't it be creepier if we were naked and you were like, where's your condom? And I was like, 1 second, okay? Ah! Creepier, right? Even creepier, no wrapper, just the condom comes out, right? There's new shit on the market, not just condoms now. There's a new male birth control pill coming out. You don't know about this? FDA approved. Wait, hold on. Clap it up if you're a dude and you're gonna take the male birth control pill. Okay. Like 2 fake male allies. These are the kind of guys who are like, babe, my favorite movie is Love Actually. No, I promise. I'll take the pill. Okay? I am scared. I'm terrified. I've never heard a woman go, yeah, I changed birth controls and it was a smooth transition. Ever. It's always like, yeah, I was on Yaz and I switched to ortho tricycline and now I have a unibrow. And then I switched to Nordet and I strangled my grandma. Okay. Mood swings. I'll do copper IUD. Put the copper IUD up my butt, whatever y'all do. Spin the fucker. This is a true story. I was with a girl once putting a condom on. She was like, don't worry, I have a copper IUD. I put it in 20 years ago. And I'm like, if I fucked you raw, the STD I'd get would be tetanus. 20-year-old copper IUD, bro, what does that even look like? You know when you have a handful of pennies, there's always that one green one? I mean, she has a Statue of Liberty in her pussy right now. This Mormon section needs to grow up, dude. What? I think we gotta change some of the terms too. Some of the sex terms gotta change, right? Some dudes who are like, I got a raging boner. You ever hear that? I got a raging boner. It's like, dude, leave the room, right? Right? Dude sex terms are too aggressive, right? Female sex terms, way more cute, right? It's like, I'm wet, hee hee. Right? Right? It's cute. It's never like, yo, my pussy's on some hydraulics right now. Oh my God! It's like Hurricane Katrina down here, Jesus Christ. Somebody call FEMA. Dude sex terms are aggressive, right? Even jacking off is too intense. Can we get some softer jack off terms? I want to be like, yo, I got home last night and just started watering my plants. And yeah, it was a good harvest, okay? You ever have a dude friend who's like, I don't jack off anymore, bro, I'm done. That was me. I'm like, I'm done, it's unhealthy, I'm done jacking off. 2 days, no jacking off. I was like, should I kill animals? Bro, 4 days, no jacking off. I was like, if I sneeze, I'm gonna come. And then some old lady's gonna hear me sneeze, be like, bless you. I'm gonna be like, you have no idea. What do y'all do more, Instagram or TikTok? Yeah? That old guy's like, LinkedIn. Fucking get a job, all right? Here's the thing, Instagram, TikTok, they're different apps, right? Instagram, the comments are more like, hey man, keep working hard, keep hustling, right? TikTok comments, bro, are like, yo, I'm 12 years old, and like, I wish you were dead. Why are kids so mean on that app? Worst comment I ever got, bro, I put a video of me doing stand-up. This kid just wrote, terrorist, but also annoying. Yo, that means the fact that I blow people up, that is not the worst thing about me, right? Bro, fuck this little white 12-year-old kid. Went to his profile, found a comedy video of his, and I wrote, school shooter, but also short. Yeah, good click, dude. All right, listen, follow me at Usama Stands Up. Y'all be good.
Put your hands together for my homies. Eagle win, everybody!
Nice. Packed out on a weekday. This is nice. I love stand-up. There's a little shit I don't like about stand-up. You know what I don't like? I don't like that people use it as a first date. Don't use my shit as a first date. It feels like a bitch move on the dude's part, you know? It's like you take a girl to a show where you can't talk for 2 hours, I make her laugh, and then you fuck? It's like, can I put a finger in? Like, I feel cheated, you know? I usually fuck with first dates. I was messing with one time, they were sitting in the front, and I asked the girl, I was like, yo, have you kissed him yet? And she said no, and for whatever reason, the crowd got like super hyped, right? Like on some like Jerry Springer shit. Like she was like no, and the crowd was like, kiss, kiss, kiss. And I ain't gonna lie, like it hyped me up. Like I was like, yeah, you hear him? Y'all gotta kiss. And then they did. Yeah, and then for the rest of the show, the dude was just looking at me like, say fuck, say fuck, say fuck. It's weird. Dudes use comedy shows like an aphrodisiac, for real. It's strange. It's predatory behavior, for real. Niggas be like, she ain't gonna let me hit till she giggle. Like, what? I see a lot of friend zone dudes at comedy shows. That's big, for real. Like, it'd be a pair sitting in the front, and I'll ask the girl, I'll be like, is that your boyfriend? And she's like, he's my friend. And then he's like, yeah, I'm her friend. Y'all think a dude could be friends with a girl, for real? Or if a dude's friends with a girl, he's just trying to fuck? Look, divided the room immediately. I wouldn't say we're all trying to fuck. I'd say we all would. But there's a difference, you know what I mean? Like, I have a girl best friend. I've been best friends with her for over 15 years. That's my nigga. That's my bro. I don't even look at her like that. Yeah. Not once have I tried to fuck, miss. But You know what I mean? Like, if we were hanging out and she was like, Eagle, I'll give you some head, but we can't be friends anymore. I'd be like, well, we had a good run. Every friendship has its day, right? What's this situation over here? This is your coworker. Oh, okay. You don't trust it? You guys trust it? You don't trust it? This is your lady right here, bro? Yeah. How long y'all been together?
Married for like a little over a year.
Man. This lonely ass crowd. I'm in a weird place. I'm heartbroken right now, bro. You know when you heartbroken, you start hating on people's happiness? Like you see a couple kissing you, like I hope y'all both got mouth herpes. I'm fucking sad. I had to break up with this girl. I was super in love with her, but she was just too toxic, you know? Like she was always accusing me of cheating, and it's like I was, but be positive. That's a joke. That's a joke. A true joke. A very true joke. It's an old joke, though. You know what the update is? The update is I'm in a new relationship, and my girl is bi. Anybody in this room got a bisexual girlfriend? No? There's one dude right here in the corner. Bro, y'all have threesomes? No. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because that's not real, nigga. That is not what the fuck it is. We are believers, men. That's what we are. We are positive people, right? Right? Ladies, I don't know if y'all know that. We're the most positive people on earth, men. Every night we walk out, we're like, everything's gonna happen. It's gonna be great. And then nothing happens. We're like, tomorrow, another day. Like, we fucking believe. We are positive fucking people. My girl is bi. She is gorgeous, highly attractive. Best looking person I've ever seen. And I'd like to think I'm attractive. In the first date, she was like, I'm bi. And I was like, we about to fuck the world. I was pointing at people in the restaurant, you gonna get it, you gonna get it, you gonna get it. And that's not the case. That's not what's happening at all. All having a bisexual girlfriend does, you just worry about double the people. For real. Because we're in an open relationship. We're in an open relationship. I cannot do monogamy. And so we're non-monogamous. And she told me from jump, she was like, listen, I don't have to do monogamy, but just so you know, if we don't do monogamy, that means I'm also going to be fucking girls. And I ain't going to lie, at first, I very much responded like a dude. Like, I was like, I don't care, they don't got no real dick. Fuck them, you just going to come back home to daddy. All right? I was feeling good. And then I fell in love with her, and I was like, why has this bitch got so many friends? Because women, y'all are different with y'all friends than us. Y'all hang out real weird. Y'all do suspect shit that we don't do. You know what I mean? You know you hang out different. Like, I was on FaceTime with my girl, and her friend ran through the background butt-ass naked. And I was like, ew! And she was like, what, babe? That's just how girls hang out. And I called my sisters. I was like, yo, is this true? They were like, sometimes you gotta see a titty. I was like, all right. And I see the girls in the room, saw your pussy last night, bitch? Y'all are enjoying the joke. I get it. Women are different, and that's fine. I have no problem with people being different. But ladies, you have to understand that's also bullshit, right? Because my girl's never gonna FaceTime me, and I'm playing 2K with my nigga, and his dick is out. Like, what, babe? That's how niggas hang out. Anybody here actually gay? Any gay dudes in the room? You lesbians? All right. Any gay dudes in the room? No? Just doing the numbers. Somebody in this room is lying right now. Somebody just pulled a dick out of their mouth like I would never. Come out whenever you want to come out, you know? One of my friends, he just came out, and I always knew he was gay when we were growing up, but I ain't say nothing because he could fight. I wanted to say something. He was just too gangster, you know what I mean? Like, all my friends were tough, but he was the toughest one. And it's weird because I try to talk to them about it. Like, I'd be like, yo, you think Xavier? They'd be like, man, you gonna say something? I was like, nah, you're right. He's too gangster. It was weird because, you know, he was gangster and flamboyant, which is like a strange mix. You know what I mean? Like, he'd beat somebody up and then he'd be like, girl, let's go get some pussy. I don't think that's what he wants. When he came out, I called him to check on him. I was like, hey, man, how you holding up? He's like, honestly, you guys are the best friends I could ask for. Yeah. He's like, you're showing me so much love and support. I can't wait for y'all to meet my boyfriend. I was like, that's beautiful. I was like, just so you know, I always knew you were gay. And he was like, what? And I was like, nothing, I'm so sorry. He's like, nah, you said you always knew I was gay. I was like, you were different. He's like, well, I wasn't gay. I was like, so what happened? He's like, I just met somebody and fell in love. I don't know. I've met a lot of amazing men in my life. You know what I mean? Like, never have I met someone so dope. Never have I been to the bar like, wait, you like the Knicks too? Oh! I just don't think that's how it works. I don't know. For real. Like, I don't like white protesters. I don't like them. I know, you're our ally, or whatever. I don't care. They're just too aggressive. Like, they confuse me. You know what I mean? Like, I start rooting for the wrong team by accident. You know what I mean? Like, they'll spit on the cop, and I'll be like, I'll lean in like, officer, I wouldn't take that. Like, I don't like liberal white people. Yeah, I figured that would silence the room. I don't. I like my wife's conservative. That's my shit. Like a nice red hat. You know what it is? Liberal white people are just as racist as conservative white people. The only difference is they play these like Jedi mind tricks on you where you can't call them out for it. Conservatives real easy to call out. You're like, hey man, that was kind of racist. They're like, no! You know who the fuck you are. Liberals impossible to call out. You like, hey man, that was kind of racist. They're like, but your life matters. And you're like, and still hurt my feelings. And they're like my feet hurt from marching for you. I'm enjoying watching the black people laugh at this. While all the white people go, oh no. I've learned a lot from having gay friends. I really have. Like, for instance, I'm black. I know I look like Hawaiian lesbian, but I'm black. Fuck you guys for laughing that hard at that. It was very much like a throwaway, but all right. I thought we were friends. All right. I am. I'm black. And when you black, sometimes white people say racist shit to you, and you call them out on it, and what's the go-to? They're like, buddy, I can't be racist. I've got black friends. Right? And you're like, fuck you. But now I've got gay friends, and touche, white people. It's a solid fucking argument, huh? Sorry for ever doubting you. The real reason. This is the real reason I don't like liberal white people. And this is gonna be the hardest reason to say to your smiling white faces. Okay, here we go. I think liberal white people are the dumber whites. I'm not saying worse, okay? I'm not saying worse, okay? Conservative white people are definitely worse people, for sure. But just because you're a bad person doesn't mean you're dumb. They have their smart moments. They're kind of smart. Liberal white people, great human beings. Huge hearts, huge. Huge hearts. Tiny brains. They just keep doing things they think are super progressive, but it really just sets everybody back like 50 years. Like, for instance, stop calling us people of color. You're just calling us colored again. You can't just add 2 words and make everything better. You can't be like, you're not a nigga, you're a person of nigga. How are you guys doing? You know what I was thinking about? That's fake. Like our response. You guys ever realize that we all just always say good when somebody asks how we doing? It's like an autopilot thing, right? You ever have somebody ask how you're doing, you give them the auto response, and then they ask again but care? You know what I mean? Like they're like, how you doing? You're like, I'm good, I'm chilling. No, how are you? And you like, I don't know, man. I've been doing We're not ready. We're not ready to be cared about, nigga. It's a lot. I don't even know how to care. You know what I mean? My boy was depressed the other day, right? He posted about it on social media that he was depressed. And I hit him up. I was like, you know what? Fuck toxic masculinity. Women keep on saying we don't check on each other as men. I'm gonna fucking check on him. I'm gonna care about another man in my life. I'm gonna fucking care about his feelings. So I reached out and I was like, bro, you could vent to me. You could tell me everything. Here's the problem. Ladies, y'all didn't tell us what to do next. Because I hit the nigga up. I hit him up. I was like, yo, bro, I care about you. I don't want you to do nothing crazy, man. You can talk to me. And he opened up. He was vulnerable. And I was excited. I was like, oh, shit, it's working. And he was like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, just pouring his heart out. And I was like, yo, that shit's crazy. Like, I fucked too much. I have fucked too much in my life. Seriously. I went to, this is fun. I can't wait to see how y'all respond to this. I went to SAA. Anybody ever been to SAA? You guys know what SAA is? It's Sex Addicts Anonymous. It's a real thing. Yeah, I went. Anybody in here ever been to AA? Somebody said yeah. I heard a yeah. Alcoholism is crazy. You've definitely been to AA, right? Okay. I didn't mean it like that. They're hyping it up. But you've been to AA, so you know in AA, what is it? It's a community, right? Yeah. I don't know if y'all know what this means, but it means that everybody in the group exchanges info to some extent and can lean on each other when things are tough. That's a phenomenal idea for AA. Not a great idea for Sex Addicts Anonymous. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Eagle, I'm just feeling so horny. Really, would you wear it? Like, it's just. I've been very militant on stage where I've made all the liberal white people feel bad. It's like a thing for me. I don't know why. When I get on stage, I just get real Malcolm X-y, for real. It's like make them laugh and make them feel bad. That's my shit. In my real life, I'm not militant at all, for real. I'm really not. You know what it is? I don't believe in talking to white people about real topics in real life. Like on stage, fuck yeah, because I can't talk back. But in my real life, no, because white people are extremists now. There's no more chill white people. You can't have a calm conversation with a white person. For real. Like, you'll be like, cops are killing us. And they'll fly on the floor. They'll be like, I can't believe it. You're like, nigga, get up. I don't care that much. Or you're like, cops are killing us. And they're like, good. And you're like, well, I didn't want that either. So I keep it light when I talk to white people. Keep it fun, you know? Here's a fun argument me and all my white friends have been having for years. All my white friends think Bob Dylan is the greatest lyricist of all time. Nothing in life infuriates me more. You could be like, Black Lives Don't Matter and Bob Dylan's great. And I'll be like, what was the second thing you said? It upsets me so much. Recently, I was arguing with my white friends. He's like, I'm gonna just put you onto some Bob Dylan. And I was like, all right, bet, do it. He sucks. And I don't know if he sucks. I've never heard him before. All right? And I listened to him, and yeah, he's good. He's great. He's the best ever. Fuck you guys. I don't care. Can I read you my favorite Bob Dylan? Are you a Bob Dylan fan? Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love this. Can I read you my favorite Bob Dylan lyrics? All right, I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna fucking leave. All right, here we go. He said, no compass comes with this life, just eyes. So to map it out, you must look inside. Sure, books can guide you, but your heart defines. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, that's Jay-Z. Fuck Bob Dylan. You guys have been great. My name's Eagle Witt. Thank you so much. Bye.
In the Willman, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. The comment I get on TikTok the most is that I look like an unhealthy Pete Davidson. Every time it says unhealthy, they specify that. I'm like, just say Pete Davidson, you know? Like, it's not like he's the beacon of health and wellness, but I'll take it. Wherever I go, people ask me my pronouns, which is fair. I look like pronouns. I get it. It's okay. It's okay. And pronouns are very important, but they're not important to me personally. Like, the only time I care about pronouns is if I'm having sex with my girlfriend. I like it when she uses male pronouns on me, but that feels like a bit of an overshare for someone I just met at a baby shower. You know what I mean? I went to a baby shower the other day. I got sat next to this woman. She was like, "Hi, I'm Kelly, she, her." And I was like, "Oh, hey, Kelly, I'm Emma. I don't really care. I guess unless I'm having sex with my girlfriend, then I care." "Wait, where are you going, Kelly?" My friend was like, "What'd you say to my cousin, Emma?" I'm like, "She started it. She started it." My girlfriend is Puerto Rican. Any Puerto Ricans? Okay, okay, all right. So I want to support that, right? So this is what I've been trying to do. I learned how to cook plantains, yeah. I learned, I bought a giant Puerto Rican flag, and then whenever she comes over, I play Daddy Yankee. That's the big one, I play it. But this is the issue, she doesn't appreciate it. The other day she comes over, I'm playing Daddy Yankee, cooking plantains, waving a little Puerto Rican flag. I'm doing all these things at once, trying so hard. She walks in, looks at me, and goes, "Okay, Emma, first of all, I'm Mexican, okay?" Like, fucking white people. I don't know if any of you guys are in interracial relationships, but when she gets mad at me, she hides my sunscreen. I don't know what to do. I'm trapped in the house. Trapped in the house. She's tall, she's Mexican, very feminine. We kind of look like we're from the future. And I was having dental problems for 2 months. I have a fake tooth, and it had popped out. And before I got the implant, I was walking around missing a front tooth. So for those 2 months, it looked like the future did not go well for one of us. I was stumbling back like, blah, 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 blah. Don't buy Dogecoin, it's rough out there. My tooth, when it popped out, the timing was perfect, because people would ask me what happened, and I could just go, "Oh, it was the vaccine. Yeah, it got me." The needle hit my arm, and it just popped out. When my girlfriend and I go out to eat, and they clock us as gay and interracial, sometimes they get too supportive. I can see them just stressing, because they're like, "Shit, this Yelp review could take us down." We were at a place the other day, and we were there an hour early, and before I could say to the guy, like, "Hey, dude, we're an hour early, don't even worry about it," he just starts getting wound up. He's like, "Oh, yeah, woo, yes, this is so great, I love to see it, I do, yes, technically we're full, but, don't worry about it, we'll go find some straight white people, we'll kill them, get in here, yeah, come on, yeah." I quit smoking cigarettes a while ago, and you know what I realized? I wasn't addicted to the nicotine. I was addicted to the gossiping opportunity. I love taking a moment in my day to smoke a cigarette with someone else and then talk about other people. You're already doing a toxic thing, so it's more likely you'll have a toxic conversation. I didn't even have to like the person I was smoking with. I would have talked shit about other people. I probably would have smoked a cigarette with Sarah Palin. 2 puffs in, I would have been like, "Hillary is a bitch, you're right, yeah. She's a bitch, I can see it." The more unhealthy the activity, the quicker the friendship bond is formed too. Like, it's a sad truth of it. The quicker it'll go away, but the quicker it's formed, like cocaine. You'll go into the bathroom with a serial killer, like, "We gotta start a business." "Yeah, me and you do. T-shirts are gonna be big." What is it about coke that makes people so entrepreneurial? What is it? Did you know they updated the terminology from ADD to ADHD? Yeah. Did you know that? You did, okay, because usually people in the community don't know, but it feels like people outside of the community did know that. Like, I had no idea they updated that terminology, and then my sister called and told me a couple weeks ago. She was like, "There's no more ADD, it's all ADHD." And I was like, how was I supposed to know that? And then she goes, "I don't know, Emma, pay attention." I was like, ooh, cold. Why would they change the name of something that represents a group of people that has a hard time following along? Why would they do that? I got all turbed up about it, like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Went online, probably 2 minutes in, I was looking at a lasagna recipe, like, yeah. Huh. My sister was like, what'd you find? I'm like, you can put ricotta cheese. Ah! When I was diagnosed with ADD, they were diagnosing any kid with a behavioral problem as ADD. Like, there was this kid in my class, and at recess, he would hump trees. Hump trees, and based on that alone, the teachers were like, ADD. That's what that is, ADD. And I remember watching him hump a tree and being like, yeah, and something else, right? Let's dig a little deeper, you know. I have ADD. I can't concentrate. He's sexually attracted to foliage. I was in special ed, but my elementary school was so small, I was the only one in special ed. So they didn't call it special ed, they called it Emma's room. I was cocky about it too. I'm like, time to go to my room. I got to high school, they're like, Emma, you're gonna be put in something called special ed. And I was like, well, why is it named after Ed? Like, why does he get everything? Why isn't it just Ed's room? Like, what about that I'm in there now too? And they're like, stop right there, but we're just gonna tell you, you're going to the right place, okay? Like, you're meant to be here. Fine. It's nice you guys came to a comedy show. Whenever I get to pick the entertainment, I just wanna watch Law & Order Special Victims Unit. I'm obsessed with that show, and I feel like the more conscious I get of how convoluted and screwed up the justice system is, the more I watch Law & Order Special Victims Unit to fantasize that it can be simple. Right and wrong. Dun dun. But I do think it's weird they call it Special Victims Unit, because aren't all victims special? Like, could you imagine being the victim of a stabbing and you go in to report it at Special Victims Unit and they're like, wrong unit. This is for special victims? It looks like you just got stabbed. And you're like, well, I was stabbed by my uncle. And they're like, all right, was it with his dick? No, down the hall. Get out of here, get out. No semen, no service. You're not getting in. Yeah, it's participation trophy culture. How weird is it the executive producer of that show is named Dick Wolf? Dick Wolf, that's insane. I think if a woman had the equivalent name, people would have noticed it a long time ago. It'd been like, we're getting trolled. Could you imagine if they were like, from executive producer, Vulva Fox? You'd be like, yeah, that feels weird. Feels weird. Okay, I can't look at you guys when I say this next thing. It's too much. Over the pandemic, I became one of those people who comments on porn videos. It's too much! Yeah. If you're ever wondering, who comments on these videos? I comments. Before my girlfriend knew I was in the porn commenting community. She was like, can you believe some people actually think real people comment on these videos? Obviously, it's all robots just trying to get people to go over to their page. And I was staring out the window of an Uber like, it's not all robots. Just a hunch. Maybe some people quit smoking and they're trying to meet like-minded individuals. We don't know. I comment on the video if the title of the video doesn't match up with the content of the video. It's where I draw the line as a human being. I was watching one the other day. It was titled, Verbal Wife Gets Banged Out by Neighbor. But she said nothing, so I had to say something. You know what I mean? Not on my watch. Took it to the comments. I was like, hey guys, it's clickbait. Repeat clickbait. If you need a verbal woman, go over to Alabama Housewife on the next page. Boom. She's a star. I thought this was all for nothing, and then this guy commented on my comment. I was walking into therapy. Woo. Was it you? I was walking into therapy. I got this alert on my phone. Bing, bing. I check it. I'm like, I told my therapist right away. I was like, hold on, Kim. This is critical. He commented, he goes, thank you so much. It was my anniversary with my wife. I had 10 minutes to come and get ready for dinner, and if it wasn't for you, I would have wasted time on this video. But because of you, I went over to Alabama Housewife. I came quickly. You saved my anniversary. He said that. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thanks. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Almost on cue, my therapist was like, Emma, do you ever do anything for other people? And I was like, you have no idea. Okay. I'm out here every day, commenting, patrolling, putting work into it. My mom gave me comedy advice the other day. She was like, you need to talk about something that's universal and relatable to everybody, something that transcends race and class and gender and will bring Americans together around a unifying topic. And I was like, sure, what do you think? And she goes, how about the fact that your father is an asshole? Something like that. Everybody knows an asshole. I've been dog sitting for my mom for the past 5 days, and I thought it would be fine, except I'm not allowed to have a dog in my building. So I made a fake service animal certificate. It's only 5 days. I thought, what could go wrong? The issue is the dog isn't trained, so a lot has gone wrong. A lot. I said it like a true non-dog owner, like, what could go wrong? Everything went wrong. Saying this dog is trained would be like someone on a dating app saying they live in a gated community, but they're in prison. It's like that much of a stretch. Like, big stretch. I made a fake certificate. I bought a printer and a laminator, and it just says service dog on it, okay? In case I run into my landlord. So I ran into him, and he was like, Emma, that better be a service dog. And as I'm taking out my certificate, the dog starts humping my leg. Like, aggressively humping my leg. And I was about to tell him the truth, but then I just doubled down and was like, and this is the service I need. How about that? How about mental health is complicated, okay? And if the dog's not humping my leg, my anxiety goes through the roof. This is what does it for me. I learned about it on TikTok, okay? Back off. Your psychiatrist doesn't prescribe dog humping, get a new one. Back in high school, I was very depressed. And I remember trying to talk to my mom about it, but she was so uptight. Like, I remember coming home one time and telling her, like, Mom, I can't take it anymore. I'm gonna kill myself. And she went, not in the house. Not in the house. I have book club in the house. And then because I said that, I had to go to this inpatient rehab center. This is why, like, even in the darkest of times, if you look around, it can be pretty amusing. I had to go to this... That part wasn't a joke, you fucking monsters. I was like, even in the darkest of times, you know, look around, it can be amusing, and you're like... Oh, they're also a loser. It's all about perspective, you know. Okay. You have great teeth. Ever since I started having dental problems, I notice people's teeth, and it's a bad thing to compliment because it makes everyone self-conscious, but good job. So, even when you're, I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about. Even the darkest of times, looking around. Oh yeah. Yes, as I was saying. But I wasn't talking about ADD. Now you're just yelling out things I have. You're like, depression and anxiety, potentially bipolar, addiction. So, threatened to kill myself, even in the darkest of times, yada, yada, yada. I had to go to this inpatient rehab center. I'm in there for threatening to kill myself. I had a roommate there who was in there for threatening to kill somebody else. I was like, who is this lazy admissions person? Just seeing the two of us, like, ooh, mutual interest, match them up. They'll be finishing each other's sentences. She had threatened to kill someone, and she had multiple personality disorder, which I wanted to be sensitive to, but I didn't know how. So every night I'd be like, good night, everybody. I don't know. One of you guys snores. I don't know. Which one of you? I miss 90s boy bands, even in sync. I miss them. Boy bands now are too perfect. Every member can sing, every member can dance, they're all cute. I miss the 90s, where it was like one member could sing, one member could dance, one member was cute. And then there were the other two. Who were these other two? Wild cards. We didn't know what was going on. The ages now are all like 17. In the 90s, it was like 17, 18, 53, 12. And you're like, who's that 53-year-old with the kids? Girl groups never had that. Could you imagine if you were watching the Spice Girls? Like, what Spice Girl is that? Is that somebody's aunt or something? She's tracking her steps, I can tell. She's counting steps. She's counting her steps. Who is it? It's Old Spice. That's who it is. Old Spice. Old Spice. Every time my mom leaves me a voicemail, she identifies herself in the message. Every message starts like this. She goes, "It's your mother." Like I would ever get a message from my own mom and be like, "Who is this?" I had to ask her, like, "Mom, who do you think I'm talking to that would be calling me up? Like, hey, I was looking at pictures of you in the tub as a baby. Cute, call me back immediately. It's Rodrigo, your landlord. Rent is due. You and your dog are weird." All right, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great rest of your show.
Please put your hands together for the one, the only John Johnson, everybody!
Just in case you didn't know, I grew up in Louisiana. No. Anytime I tell people at a party or at a show that I grew up in Louisiana, they're like, "Oh my God, I love New Orleans." I'm like, yeah, that's not where I said. And they're not wrong. New Orleans is the best part. The problem is that there's a whole state around that city. You know what I mean? Like, New Orleans to Louisiana is like if you had the most beautiful blue eye, but your whole face was fucked up. Like, I'm embarrassed to admit it now, but when I was really little, I thought that black people could see the future. I did. I just thought we had powers like that. Because when I was little, you know, when you don't have the best money situation, you usually don't have the best living situation. So the neighborhood I was in, there'd be like a fight constantly every other night. Once in a while there'd be a shooting, and before any of it ever went down, outside of the window in my home, I could hear somebody go, "I'm finna go to jail tonight." And then they would, and I was like, how did he know? That is incredible. When do my powers kick in? This is astounding. I've lived in New York now for like 6 years, about, and who here lives in New York? Okay, so, you know, whether you're here and you live here or you're just visiting, I think we can all agree that now New York is too dirty. Like, this is a level that's unprecedented. This is chaos now. This doesn't make any sense anymore. Like, and look, you're only here, you only live in New York for one of two reasons. Either you were born here and no other place compares, maybe you've tried to live somewhere else and it just doesn't mesh for you, or you moved here to be the best at something. You know, you have a dream, there's something that you want to do, but I still believe that all of us can be the best designer, the best actor, the best of anything without a rat being right there. Like, how is that part of the struggle? How does that help us in the grind? That doesn't do anything. It's just depressing. This is too much. We've made them too, we've actually ruined rats with how dirty we've made New York. We've made the rats too fat. You realize they're fat now, because what happened when the pandemic hit? What happened? We started outdoor dining, and people loved it. They're like, "Oh my God, it's so European. It's so chic. This is amazing." And then, you know, no one loved it more than the rats. Because the rats, now, you realize rats used to have to scrounge for their food, and now they're like, Frankie's closed at 11, and that's good Italian, so like, we might as well just wait for a little bit. They talk about food the way we talk about food now, because we've left so much food dropped in the street. I was walking down the street, and I stepped next to a rat. I didn't see it. We surprised each other, all right? I planted my foot next to the rat, and then when we saw each other, I'm not proud of my reaction, but like, I actually know I'll never be able to protect a woman by how I lifted my leg when I saw the rat, because it was just, the toe was too pointed. Like, what does this do? This doesn't get me further away. I'm just as far away with this as I am with this. But this felt more natural. Like if it was gonna bite anything, I wanted it to be ass. So I do this and I scream, right? And then the rat sees me and it tries to run and it genuinely can't. The rat got a running start and immediately was like, no, you're gonna have to kill me because I don't know what I just pulled messing with you. This is too much. We've made New York a little too hard now. Why this hard? Why does the setting have to be on extra hard? Because you can admit it. You can admit it to me. We're family. When you're walking down the street and you see a homeless person screaming at the top of their lungs, isn't it scary that when they're screaming, they're not wrong? That's pretty jarring, isn't it? I was walking down the street, homeless dude screaming at the top of his lungs, but he was like, the bank's rigged everything, and there's poison in some of the food. I'm like, he's making good points. Like, let's not discount what the man is saying. I've had my own little, like, awkward encounters with people and everything, you know. Like, I remember my freshman year of college, I really wanted to reinvent myself. Because in high school, I was just like this skinny, nerdy kid and like never really had a lot of confidence or anything. And I went to a school where no one knew me, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a new guy. I'm gonna be suave. And I remember I had classes with this one woman that was like beautiful. So I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna ask her out, right? That's what the old me would never do. I'd be too scared. And so I remember just on a random day after class, I started walking up to her. And I have nothing to go on, by the way. Like, we didn't meet at orientation. We just take 2 classes together where I sit behind her. So there's nothing to start with. I can't just walk up like, I've been watching you. And I like what I see. So then I'm just like, even as I'm walking up to her, I'm like, what am I doing? And I remember I tapped her on the shoulder and she turned around and I went to just start speaking. I just like, it starts coming out. I was like, hey, my name is John. And as I go to speak, I can feel a yawn coming. And that's not good. Like, you're not gonna entice anyone to have a good time with you when you open with a yawn. And so I'm just shoving it down. I'm like clenching and I'm shoving the yawn down as hard as I can. I'm pushing it down and I actually beat the yawn, which is an incredible feeling. When you beat a sneeze, a cough, a yawn, when you need to in a social situation, you feel like a god. I was talking shit to my own body. I was like, yeah, that's right, breathing ass bitch. You breathe when I tell you to breathe, old sucking air ass punk. Look at you trying to breathe looking stupid. And so I beat the yawn and I just start talking. I'm like, hey, we have a couple classes together and I don't know what your situation is, but if you would like to do something this week, I'd love to take you out on set. And as I go to say Saturday, I can feel the yawn coming back. But this yawn is different. This is the one that opens your mouth for you. You know what I'm talking about? Those strong yawns that like unclench your jaw and everything. And so then I'm just like, if you would want to do something on the weekend, I'd love to take you out on Saturday. And now because I've tried to talk through the yawn and I haven't done much talking, it sounds like how I talk sometimes. And so then also the yawn was so powerful. You ever get that tear that comes and goes like, I actually had the tear roll it. I was like, Saturday! And we stared at each other for a second and then I just walked away. I was like, there's no saving it. It's fine. It's okay. I remember when I was little, my mom worked at the library, and there was this after-school program she would do, and so she would just pick me up after school sometimes, and I would go with her. And so for the time that I was in that age group, that was just what I did. every day. And I met this kid, and he would always sit by himself, and then he was gone for quite a while. And when I started to see him again, I was like, I'll sit with him because in my mind, I know what it's like to be weird. I know what it's like to be alone. I'm like an only child, and I've always been odd. And so, to me, no one should be alone unless they want to be. So I went to sit with him just to let him know if he wanted to talk to someone, I was here. He didn't have to talk to me, but he finally had an option, right? And sometimes something happens to a person where if they're over it, like they're genuinely over it, but you can't imagine yourself being over it, you can't imagine them being over it. Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's why, like, if I tell you my dad passed away, you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because you're imagining what it would be like if your dad passed away. You're putting yourself in my shoes. It's why if I tell you that my great-granddad passed away, you're like, oh, okay. I mean, that sounds like what's supposed to happen. So. Any other facts you want to tell me? And so I remember I started talking to him because I was curious about him and everything. And the thing we were doing that day was we were putting together a bridge with popsicle sticks. And so we would glue the bridges together, and whoever had the strongest bridge at the end of the, day would win. Like their little team would win. I was on a team with him. And I remember asking him, his name, asking him if we were in the same grade, because I thought that we were. And he's like, yeah, I'm in the 6th grade too. I was like, oh yeah, me too, man. And we're putting the popsicles on. And I asked him, I was like, I thought you moved away or something, because I used to see you all the time, and then I didn't see you for a whole year. And without missing a beat, he just keeps putting the popsicles on the bridge, gluing them, doing his work. And he's like, nah, I didn't move away. I just got kidnapped. And I was like, what? He's like, oh, you didn't hear me? I got kidnapped. He's like, are you okay? And without missing a beat, he just goes, yeah, I'm back, so it's all good. It's like, if you're good, I'm good. Okay. That's the thing. Sometimes you're genuinely over something, sometimes you're not. Like, I think just as black guys, we gotta cry more. Just let it out sometimes, for real, because we don't. Always too tough and everything, and there's some things you can't out tough in life, and so when you finally break down and cry, we have no practice. So it's the most unrecognizable sound that could come out of a human. That's why nobody rushes to help us. It doesn't sound like crying when we do it. Because let's say something happens, something genuinely happens where no one will blame you for crying. Let's say your dad does pass away, and it's the saddest day of your life, and you don't know how you're gonna move on, you don't know what you're gonna do about it, but instead of just crying, when it's appropriate, when everyone would understand, when people would have your back, you just shove it down. You try to be strong at the funeral. You're shaking hands. You shove it down. You're shaking hands, and you're shoving it down. You're pushing it, and then you're pushing it. And then years later, somebody just asks you how your day is. And you're like, people come running like, is that an alarm? What was that? Someone hurts you. Someone does something that genuinely hurts you in a big way. Maybe you have a breakup. Maybe you feel betrayed by a friend. Something happens. And instead of just opening up and having a cry about it, like, no, you're too tough. You just, you try to like work out through it. Try to fuck through it, whatever it is, just so you don't have to let it out and cry. And then one day, puppy licks your hand. And you're like, no one even rushes to help you because they're like, so clearly he needs an exorcism because there's something in there. I've never heard that sound before. It's like there were a lot of peaceful protests in 2020, and there were a couple that weren't. I think enough time has passed that we can admit that it's like, nah, they looted. That's just that Target didn't do anything. Nah, they want that stuff that was in there. That's all that happened. And this guy that I know, during one of the protests, like some loot broke out, and he looted. But I don't know if he panicked. I don't know what happened. But all he looted was a rabbit from a PetSmart. And it's like, what? You almost can't be mad at it. It's a little heartwarming. But then he managed to get a sick rabbit. So this rabbit, sick as hell, got all types of health problems. So he's been in and out of the vet for the past 2 years. This man looted himself $7,000 into debt. Does anyone here believe in God? It is kind of weird that it's like a resounding no now. Like I'm always worried about when the masses have an opinion. And it's like, clearly when everybody believed in God, things were not going well. Like they were not doing the right thing. But now I'm like, oof, everyone saying no also feels a little off. You know, because this is a big bet. Like if God's real, we're really laying out all the chips. This is funny. I was thinking. I've thought a lot about God in the last 3 years and everything. And okay, this is a long walk, but just roll with me for a second. All right. So, if there's a God, if there's a limitless being whose knowledge and power and understanding is bigger than anything that we could ever imagine, that we come from, that we're made in the image of, that the limitlessness doesn't just apply to time. It applies to like every describable metric. So, you know, God has no gender. God has no way of tying God down to earthly things or even in speech, right? And if this limitless being has seen the entire story, has seen everything, knows everything from beginning to end of how everything will go, everything that will happen, everything that has happened, everything that might happen, then maybe God in that limitless power chooses to tip scales at times and punish people for bad things or move lives in a specific way. And maybe, if you know the whole story, you don't have to think or act in a linear way. We behave linear because time is always moving forward, and it's all we know. So if someone does something bad to me, and then I take revenge on them, it all makes sense to the people you tell the story to because something happened and there was a reaction. But if you know the entire story, maybe it doesn't matter when the thing happens. You know, maybe something bad happens to someone, but they're like an asshole anyway. So you're like, whenever it happened, it was worth happening. And maybe, like God knowing and understanding and seeing all of humanity and what the people would be like, all the people made in his image, all his children. I'm only using his because now I'm just talking about a specific, like, biblical understanding, right? Maybe in all of that, God saw all the people, and he saw that some people would be terrible to other people that were his children, all made in his image, but some people would be terrible to other people because they were different, you know? And then in those differences, he looked at the whole of history and thought to himself, okay, I need to do something about this. But rather than working on a linear scale, rather than waiting for a thing to happen to react to a thing, for a thing to happen to react to a thing, maybe God was just like, I'll do it whenever. Maybe I'll go to the beginning. Maybe God saw that there were going to be gay people and how abused and mistreated they would be by other people that claimed to be moving in his name, right? So maybe at the very beginning of time, God said, okay, if this is how humanity works, thinks, if this is how humanity will move, then I'll have to do something about it. And maybe God saw that it would be men, mostly men, who were the most violent, who were the most, combative against these people that were different. And so then at the beginning of time, God decided, fine, if you're gonna be like this, I'm gonna put the G-spot in the ass. Like if you're gonna be a dick, you don't get the good stuff. I told you it was a walk. I love talking about this with people because, the whole joke is too long, but while I'm telling it, people are like, is this how a cult starts? You all are so amazing. Thank you so much for coming out.
Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
When I was growing up, I would hear these stories of people who were like really in the life, like they were doing bad things. They were like, this is bad. I'm probably gonna go to jail. And I heard this story one time, this dude, everybody got locked up, but there was this trap house. In case you're not aware, a trap house is where illicit materials are sold. I just, sometimes you might say trap house, or there might be someone who's like, so booby traps? Like, is it the trap door situation? Like when you walk in, watch out for the wire, you're gonna fall down to the basement? No, I mean drugs. I mean the buying and selling of drugs. And so this trap house was known for being pretty busy. It had become so busy that they had bought some property, several blocks away and opened up another trap house. Business was booming. Things are going very well. Whenever you are selling so many drugs that you have to buy property, we are entering documentary territory. Most trap houses are really just dudes playing video games until somebody knocks on the door. Like, it's not a busy day. And you gotta stay at trap house the whole time because you don't know when someone might get the itch. And so they opened up another trap house, but this location was not as poppin' for some reason. They must have opened it in a bad neighborhood. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being all drugs, be like, I'm not going over there though, that's dangerous. And so even though they opened another location, and even though they tried to tell people, hey, you can come here or you can go over there, people liked the original trap house. It stayed just as busy as ever, with some business going on at the second location, but mostly it was here, right? And okay. Let's just call him Jerry, all right? And Jerry ran both trap houses. And he did a pretty decent job, kept his books, kept his finances, really, like, he knew his inventory, He could have made a great store manager at any grocery store. There was this dude named Twan, and Twan found out about these very popular trap houses. Well, one popular, one not so popular, right? And he made a plan to rob the trap house, the main one, the lucrative one, right? So his plan for robbing the lucrative trap house was to basically set up a diversion at the one that wasn't as busy. So he basically faked a robbery at the one that was not as busy. He had some guys go over there, bang on the door, act like they had guns, they were about to break in, because he knew it would make everyone call Jerry. Jerry and his boys would go over there, you know. By the time they get there, those guys have already left, and then the main trap house is left defenseless. They break in, Twan and them break in, they steal all this money out of the trap house, right? Take it back to their place. Now their place is a stash house. Stash house should be self-explanatory. If I've lost you at Stash House, I cannot help you. But the trap house has been robbed, everything's been taken back to the Stash House, okay? And then Twan and his boys thought they had made a killing. They were like, this is great. No one even knows that it was us, because they had planned it very well. They planned it all the way down to the detail of if those guys who did the fake robbery got caught, they wouldn't even know who hired them, right? But Jerry's no fool. Jerry started asking around, and he could kind of tell that some of these guys were lying, some of these guys weren't lying. He traced everything back to Twan. And so he set up a plan to rob Twan's stash house. To go in there and not just get his stuff back, but take the rest of whatever was in there. And his plan wasn't as meticulous. He just sort of ran up in there with a lot of men and guns. Now what he did do is he waited. He learned the routine. He learned who would be there when. It took months. And then finally, he was like, we're gonna do it on Tuesday. They never paying attention on Tuesday. We're gonna run up in there. It's only gonna be like 5 of them. If it's 15 of us, I don't think we'll meet a lot of resistance. It's not like it's their money, it's Twan's money. And so that's what they did. They broke up in there, went ahead, zip-tied everybody, and took everything, which took several trips. The people at the stash house did have to watch themselves be robbed for quite a while. Imagine you over here, you're not gonna get away with this. Then you think they've left, they come back in the door. Left all this right here. And so then one of them, being new to the lifestyle, being a new, some would say prospect gang member, was so appalled at the theft that when he freed himself, lacking all presence of mind, called the police. This man called the police. It was like they ran up in there, they had guns and everything. They had a gun in my hands. He's telling all this to 911. They took everything. They took the weed. They took all the money. Took my favorite Glock. And, some people were duct taped and everything, duct taped over the mouth, zip tied behind everything. So when, as soon as he called 911, he started freeing everybody else. As soon as he ripped that tape off, they're like, "What is wrong with you? We gotta get out of here now." And so then they all left. They all ran up out of there because the police, catching wind that there was a robbery of the stash house, made themselves available immediately. No, they got out in time not to get caught. They got out in time to see the police raiding the stash house from a few doors down. And that's the thing, is like people say, you know, crime doesn't pay, or like criminals are dumb or whatever. But there are some very smart people who, for whatever reason, enter a certain lifestyle, choose to stay there, or maybe it's all that they know. And if criminals were so dumb, they wouldn't be fascinated. We are fascinated by career criminals. We're fascinated by people who do things that aren't just illegal. They have the gall to try to pull something off that has so many different entry points to danger. Like, just in the past few days, the Louvre was robbed. And I have not been able to settle. This is amazing. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Louvre or the Louvre or whatever, it's one of the most visited museums in the world, and people go there and then they act like they've been changed by art. And you ask them what they saw, they can't name anything or anybody. They were just like, no, the Mona Lisa was there, looking unimpressed. Well, there were these robbers that broke in. And they broke in dressed as construction workers, right? They had actually rented this like powerlifting vehicle that had a ladder that would bring them up to the next level where they could cut in, because they brought tools to cut in through the window and enter that way. They didn't want to just come through the front. And it made sense that they were dressed as construction workers, because the Louvre is under construction. Permanently, I guess. It's always under. Why is Europe never finished? All of Europe, always, unless you're out in the country, there's always like, oh, we gonna fix this road. We've been working on it since 1822. But that's y'all's fault. Y'all keep changing the roads. We just, right when we finished the cobblestone, y'all were like, no, it's asphalt now. And so look, they break in, and they break in with these power tools. They had like an angle grinder and everything. And that's when the alarms were going off and stuff. And then they get in through this museum window, and the part of the museum that they're in is where these rare crown jewels are being held. Right? They didn't bother with the Mona Lisa. There was a crowd, there's a line. You'd never make it out. People would be like, no, I want to see. And people keep, they keep criticizing the security. They keep criticizing the people that were doing security. But those people did approach them. They were like, hey, you don't. You better not. Because what is museum security really supposed to do? Let's be honest. Let's be real. If you work security in any format, they should arm you with as much as it takes to protect what's supposedly valuable. Think about this. When you see someone working for like Brinks, right? And they bring a Brinks truck to do a deposit for a bank. Let's say a whole grocery store is like, hey, we got like $250,000 that we need to transport over to the bank to make our deposit. The bank is like, don't worry, we'll send somebody. They hire Brinks. Brinks comes over. They have a truck. And not just a truck, like a bulletproof truck. And then they get two people. They get two people to make sure nobody knocks you over the head when you're trying to grab the bags and put them in the truck. They get two people, and not just two people, two of the biggest people you've ever seen. Like two people that are so big that it's like, you are the gun, right? And then I think they give them a gun. They always hold in their pocket. Maybe they don't have a gun, but it looks like they have a gun. And they don't give them cuffs because they don't plan on taking any prisoners. And then they get in there, Brinks always handles a drop like they are being robbed. Like they always handle the drop the way a bank robber would handle the drop. Because I used to work at a grocery store, and Brinks would come in and they'd be like, so where is your safe, or where do you, hurry. And we'd be like, oh, it's over here. Okay, it's over here, all right. And then the one would get to work putting, the other one just watching us. I'm ringing people up. I'm putting more money in the till, and they were still like, but you might try anything. I don't know you. And then they would leave, and they'd leave all fast. And then they'd run into the truck, throw everything in the truck, and then they would always peel out a little bit, which made me uncomfortable. One time they came and did a pickup, and I was like, y'all sure that was Brinks? Because they were a little squirrely. But then for some reason, there are times where you're supposed to protect, or you're supposed to hold guard of something, and you're giving less and less resources as you do it. Like, you look at a Brinks security guard, and then you look at like a mall cop. They're like, you get one flashlight. I guess shine it in their eyes or something. If you hit somebody hard enough in the head with it, the glass will break. That's something. But nobody gets done dirtier. Nobody gets done dirtier than museum security. Museum security, not only do they give you nothing, no flashlight, they don't even give you a stapler to hit somebody with. They give you nothing. All they give you is a dress code. They're like, hey, just show up in all black, nobody will mess with you. You show up in a black shirt with a black suit jacket and some black pants and black shoes, people think you John Wick. They won't even approach any of the art. Because truly, what is a museum security guard supposed to do? I go to a lot of museums. I try to go to a museum in every city that I do a show, if I can, right? And I've been in these museums, beautiful art. And then you see, you get a little too close, and you see this thing go off, this like little, you don't even know where the alarm is, but like it'll just, that's the too close alarm. Because it's not like a real alarm, it's just annoying, and it goes off until you back up. So if you're a pointer, I go to a lot of museums with pointers. Everyone I take to a museum love to point. It's like we all three again, and they're like, I like the flap. As soon as you hear, somebody works for the museum, comes over, black everything, with an attitude. Could you not? Ma'am, back up. They love that hair. Back up. Give it a little space. Let the art breathe. And you want to know who a museum security guard's arch nemesis is? Because it's not like a grown man. It's not a grown woman. It is any child. Any child will ruin their day. Because I don't know what it is about the frequency of the alarm, but if you're 4, you can't hear it. If you're 4, you're like, I was at this museum one time. This security guard was in a true predicament because this child was out here touching everything. He was touching to the point that it sounded like their alarm was going off to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. And finally, the security guard started like chasing his child around, and not like really chasing him, not like Dennis the Menace chasing him, but just like following them around, hoping to maybe this kid's gonna go back up to their parents or something and be like, can you please hold your child's hand or something, because they've been touching everything. Got applesauce on everything. Because as a security guard, what are you gonna do? You can't grab this kid. You can't actually grab this. I know that sounds crazy to anybody who was born in any era before now. You have to kind of let this kid put applesauce on all the art, because if you touch this kid, you've committed murder. So if you snatch this kid and even hold their hand so you can find their parent, you are basically killing them. So you have to like let them kind of do it, but then follow them around, but then not touch them, but then make sure they don't touch anything. It would look terrible. And so finally, this security guard just started running interference on every item. This child was walking up, getting ready to touch a sculpture. Security guard get in there. No. Just trying to box him out of every room. And then finally, this kid, realized what was going on. Felt like it was a game. So this kid is like, oh, you want to play? I love to play. Playing's my favorite thing. Playing's basically my job. And so he running interference. There's a painting. And finally, this kid gets boxed in. And even the security guard's like, I don't know what to do now. Because like, this would be when you would like snatch their hand and be like, hey, is your child not with you in the museum? I might have them. But he was like, doesn't want to touch his kid, but doesn't want the kid to touch anything else, but then is in the corner, but then is also a grown man cornering a child in a corner. Just because you're at work doesn't make it look better. All this kid has to yell is stop, and you going straight to jail. I'm your only witness, and I'm not really here right now. And so this kid boxed into the corner, and you can see the kids having fun. Kids over here. Nowhere to go but under. This kid slipped under his legs and ran away. This man turned around. Started chasing after this kid even more, and then the kid went to the only room he hadn't got applesauce on. And was next to this painting. I don't really remember who painted this, but it was a huge, huge painting of a ship in a storm. And it was one of those that was like, it was a marvel because of its scale. So it's not like one that you just hang up and 6x8, whatever. This thing was huge. It took up almost the entire wall, which meant he could definitely reach it. This kid walked up to the painting, and now the whole thing is a game. Touching the stuff's a game, trying not to get caught is a game. This kid's having fun. He thought museums were boring. He's having the time of his life. This kid standing next to the painting. And admittedly, I was also running after them so I could keep watching. I didn't try to help him at all, but I was like, I gotta see the rest of this. Like, what you gonna do? This man gonna run out of breath soon. Security guard gets in the room, huffing and puffing. And he just goes, even the kid for a second was like, ooh, are you? I might have killed a grandpa. I don't even know. And then this kid goes in his pocket and lifts an applesauce covered finger. And I was like, it's been in his pocket the whole time. Children are disgusting. This kid been running around with a pocket full of applesauce this entire museum trip. And then Unc running security goes, don't. This kid, no words, no emotion in his eyes. You can tell he gonna grow up to be a bad person. This kid, applesauce covered finger just went. And so if a security guard is defenseless against a child, what do you expect them to do against actual robbers with angle rods that they just used to break into the second floor window? Because the security ran up on them, no, hey, get out of here, none of that. And then they went, vroom, vroom, vroom. Security was like, you know what, let us help you. Everybody out. Everybody out. Everybody get out now. Security made everybody get out but them. Don't you see these men working? Get out. They over here on time crunch. And you over here, ooh, look at the jewels. Get out. In fact, there was a news report that cracked me up. I laughed so hard because the security report, there was this person who, I don't think they were like head of security for the Louvre or anything, but they were basically like, it is museum security's #1 job to make sure the people are safe, and that's what they did. They made sure the people were safe. I was like, you are changing the narrative right now, because anytime I got too close to a painting and I heard the and then I had somebody come over, it didn't seem like it was for my protection. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were running up, hey, that one, that painting, that wakes up. Don't get close. Please. And so then, robbers start grabbing everything, grabbing these like Napoleon era empire crown jewels, right? They grab so much, they grab too much. They actually grab so much, they drop one. They drop one of the crowns outside. And this is gonna sound dumb. This will sound dumb, so bear with me, because I know it's gonna sound dumb, but I don't think it's dumb, all right? I thought, truly, even when I went to museums, for as many museums as I go to, I've been to museums in Europe, I go to museums here, I go to every museum that I can. I thought for certain that when you see something in a museum, that under certain circumstances is a replica. I can tell by your reaction that some of y'all think I'm dumb and some of y'all think what I thought. I'm telling you right now, when I would go to the museum, I would admire the brushstrokes, I'd admire everything, but I would be like, this is the fake one though. Like this has to be the fake one. And I thought that because if you remember, right before 2020 and even after the pandemic, you would have activists that would go to museums. These, climate activists would go to museums and they just throw like tomato soup on supposedly priceless paintings, right? They would go up to like a Van Gogh and be like, blah, and then they glue themselves to the wall or something, and then they would be like, this is why we did this, and you will have to listen to me for as long as it takes to unsuperglue my hand from the wall. Because people who are climate activists feel like no one is listening to the point where the only thing that will get any attention or like stop people for a second to listen to them is just extreme acts that knock you out of whack. You know what I mean? Just things that you go, what? What? They did what? Why did they do that? And then they get to explain. It's like the better version of canvassing, because they tried to canvass. They really did. Everyone that cares about the climate tried to canvass, and what did you do? You walk by them. They were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And you're like, I'm headed to work, please. I was with a friend one time, and look, I've stopped plenty of times. I can't stop every time. And so they were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And then my buddy was like, nah, we're good, and kept walking, have a good day. And this dude got really bad. This dude canvassed and was like, you on the planet? You don't have a minute for the planet you on? But that was happening a decent amount. There were these supposedly priceless paintings that were getting vandalized, people throwing Campbell soup on them and everything. So then I was like, surely a museum would not allow Campbell's soup to get thrown on the real one, like the regular one, because the museum was always super chill about it. The museum, they would like throw tomato soup on a Van Gogh and the museum would be like, stuff happens, we gonna get it off. You gonna what? You gonna get it off? Because when I got close, when I tried to smell the painting, I heard, and then you came over, no smelling. It was get it off, no big deal. Or you would see things like you would see, I don't know about you, but the tomato soup that I eat got a little oil to it, and you throw it on oil painting, it seems like it might leave a stain. I have no idea. But then you would see the museum come out and be like, no permanent damage was done to the artwork. And I'm like, how? I've dropped suits that were clear on my hoodie before it had the stain forever. How's this 200-year-old acrylic painting fine? It must be a fake. I used to think that, look, if you go to a museum and you see just like you could touch it, that one can't be real. But if you go to a museum and it's behind glass, that's the real one, because they bothered to protect it. Why are you just bothering to protect some pieces? That doesn't make sense to me. So then, in my head, I was like, those aren't the jewels. You know what I mean? That's just colored glass. These people so stupid, they ran up in there and risked their freedom for some colored glass. And then the French government came out and said, priceless items have been stolen from the Louvre. And I was like, that's the real jewel! Y'all didn't run any armed security around the real crown jewels? For a split second, I felt like it was my money. I was like, what are y'all doing? Ooh, I need to sit down. You said it was priceless, and then right after saying it was priceless, they were like, it's about $100 million. I was like, oh, seems like a price. You said priceless for a day and a half, and then immediately y'all were like, I think 103 probably. At least round up to 110. And then, in my opinion, museum handled it wrong. You know, they were over here freaking out. Everybody, the French government, they got everybody on it. They got like their version of the FBI. They have the local police. They have everybody on it. They plastered all the jewels that were missing all over international news and everything. If I was trying to save face, let's say I was head of museum security, I was trying to save face, I would come out to the public immediately after the robbery and be like, y'all, that was Banksy. Y'all know Banksy played too much. But this is where I wish that they had done a better job of being creative, being inventive. You know, you've just been robbed, one of the boldest robberies that we've seen. And you are the most visited museum in the world. Why don't you just see this as a W? You know what I mean? Instead of freaking out and shutting down the whole wing and staying closed for a day, all you gotta do is put that tape around the crime scene and make that an exhibit. We all wanna see it. Bring people in. Make the security guards that did do their job, the tour guides, just be like, it was 4 of them. They ran up in here. I was like, hey, get out of here. And they were like, ving, ving, ving. I was like, you right. All right, I'm gonna go. But I'm telling everybody, and that's why I'm telling you now. And yeah, you can see the glass right here. Take a piece of glass home. You can take a piece of glass home if you want. The jewels used to be right there. That's crazy, right? Jewels used to be just like, and the light used to hit it like that, but then they brought the grinder and they would, so. But they were real ones. That's why I'm doing this now, or else I'd be fired. Oh, it sucks. It does. It sucks because, like, it's just gonna turn museum security into TSA. Yeah, I mean, because look, this was, as far as museum security goes, this was their 9/11. So If you think you're just gonna roll up in there and have a good time, that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna show up and they're gonna be like, all right, shoes off. They all gonna have the wand now. Oh, brutal stuff. You're gonna walk into your local museum. You're not even in France. But there's gonna be that security guard, takes his job extra serious, and be like, you're not gonna get me, not today. Pants down, pants down. No, I gotta check. You could have anything in there. You could have an angle grinder in your pants or something. You know, we have some very expensive cups here. I love a tour guide at a museum because then they'll tell you how expensive something is. And at least with the pottery, maybe this is me not being cultured, but some of the pottery that's in museums, and then they'll tell the story of how the pottery got to the museum, and then they'll be like, you know, this is worth easily $100,000. And I'll be like, nah, it's not. It's not. Like, it isn't. Like, it is not. As much as it is here, it is not worth that. Like the function of is, like it is here, like it exists, like it is. It is here. And it is not worth that. And you know how it's not? I know it's not worth that. I know it's not worth that. Because you had to tell me how much it was, because I thought it was worth nothing. I thought y'all dug it up and brought it here because y'all were like, this was just in the ground. Isn't that interesting? I bet you people aren't leaning over the register at the gift shop being like, how much was that clay cup? I only have 50,000 on me. Dang. I would have loved that clay cup that looked like a caveman did it. Because I need to be clear here. I'm not just trying to be rude. The one that I'm talking about, it wasn't like some beautiful African art. It wasn't like a Greek pot or something that was painted with a story on it. It just looked lumpy. It just looked lumpy to the point where I was like, even when they drank out of this, there's no way they got the water on a consistent basis. You could tell it's primitive because it looked like a cup that gulps. Looked like it pours when it wants to. Lip of it all uneven and everything. This is $100,000. I'm like, all right. You sure you didn't look at it too fast and add 2 extra zeros? Because I don't think so. There was a guy. There was a really rich guy, apparently. I don't know. I don't know him, but everybody was saying how rich he was. And he got on the Instagram to actually, physically cry about the crown jewels being stolen. And he gave this whole speech about how, like, the robbers, because there's this assumption that the robbers aren't gonna be able to just sell the jewels they stole as is. There are plenty of people in the world that would pay the money it would take to sell them just as is, and maybe they just keep it and only they know they have it. But art collectors usually like to show off their collection. And so they can't tell anybody. So it's better just go ahead and maybe melt it down, sell the jewels. The jewels themselves are still very expensive. In fact, you see where throughout history, pieces have been stolen. Mona Lisa was stolen before. Pieces sometimes get stolen, but unless you can sell it to someone, what's it really worth? And so there's speculation that already these jewels have been melted down and being sold for parts, or maybe pieces are being sold that might not be able to be traced back to the complete set. And this guy got on social and he was just crying. Dude had to be in his like 50s, something like that, and he was like, because it's that crying where, okay, you know, it was like the crying you do when you're little, but you let yourself do it again when you get grown if something gets to you enough. Which is crazy, because he went online to cry, but then was fighting the crying. But he's fighting the crying to camera. But then just don't turn the camera on yet. Like if you let it out real quick and then do your video. You doing the video, like no one putting the video in your face right now. You doing the video and you wait, just wait. No one asked for this video. You could wait a day. You could wait till you're over it, or you could just not do it. But this dude got some people just cry like they choking, and it's just. And then he said a bunch of stuff, and he did say it in French. I don't speak French, so I'm gonna paraphrase from what everybody said he was saying. But I know he said some of this because a lot of people said he said it, and then I know there's some of it that might be like editorialized on what he said because I don't know if he said that because I don't speak any French. And then also he didn't even say what he said in French well because he was crying through the whole thing. Like. And look, to be fair, maybe some of that was crying and maybe a little bit of that was the accent. Maybe some of that was the accent, because there are certain people that when they speak French, they do seem upset for no reason, so then that's... It's like, was that a cry or was that one? Were you saying one just now? Were you like, ooh? Or is that you trying to hold it together? Because that's why you should have waited to make the video. That's a cry. That was not French. That one. And what this dude basically said was that you didn't just steal from the Louvre. You stole from the French people. You stole a piece of our heritage. You stole a piece of our history. And if you melt that down, if you repurpose that, if you sell that, you will burn in hell because you have stolen from the people. And I'm sure, I'm almost positive, I don't know everyone who's seen the video, I just know that I saw it, but I'm sure if you saw that video and you were from Africa or Brazil or just anywhere, I'm sure you watched it and you were like, oh no. Someone stole a piece of your heritage? What are you gonna do? Someone in Sri Lanka is like, not France. No. What are you gonna do? And look, I can understand if you are from some of those other countries, if you're from like an African country or something like that, if you're from Haiti and you see this thing, that you might be like, oh no, not the Louvre. They have our stuff too. Did they steal our stuff? Now it's gonna be harder to find, because that's also what was there. So now, oh no. Someone stole the, you know? I just love the story so much. I love the robbers. Cause look, they even showed up. They weren't just dressed in a construction outfit. They had on the, you know what I mean, the thing, mask and top and bottom. You know, they were wearing the baklava. I love this crime so much because it feels a lot like somebody that runs a trap house robbing a stash house, and then the person from the stash house is like, we gotta call the police. I can't believe somebody would steal from us. This is unacceptable behavior. We stole all this stuff fair and square. This was ours. And then they took it from us in an act of injustice. Stanford, y'all have been amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a phenomenal time.
Charleston, please make some noise for Josh Johnson!
I was talking to one of my friends, and he said that he knew, the first time he knew his neighborhood was broke was when the bank closed. It's a pretty good indicator. The bank holds that branch's money, and that branch is falling off. And said he went to the bank, and he basically just straight up asked the teller, he's like, "Hey, do you know why this branch is closing?" And she was like, "Are you here to make a deposit or a withdrawal?" And he was like, "Withdrawal." And she was like, "Yeah, that's why. That's it in a nutshell. That's exactly what's happening. You do enough of that, and then there is no bank. We're just kind of a building with a little bit of parking." I don't know. I look back at the ups and downs I've had in my life. I've been broke off and on my entire life, And there's a weird solace sometimes in being broke at the right time. Everyone thinks that the security is in having means and having money, but sometimes not being a part of the circus is its own solace in a weird way. You know that it's bad when you're really shopping at the dollar store. There are things anybody could use at the dollar store. You need a fly swatter, you might as well run up in the dollar store. You know what I mean? You need a dustpan, might as well run up in the dollar store. But if you're really shopping at the dollar store, things are not great. I would go in the dollar store for stuff you shouldn't even be buying from the dollar store. They sell it, but even the cashier look at you like, "You sure?" I'm talking about well, you have to get your meat at the dollar store. I knew I was in a bad situation when I went to a dollar store and was looking at that meat in the fridge, and I was like, Because the meat at the dollar store, they don't go into specifics. You go to Kroger, Walmart, you go to Target, you go to any of these places, and you'll see the brand of the meat, and then you'll see, all of the little no preservatives ever, completely organic, all the stuff. When you go to the dollar store and you buy your meat, it just says the price and it says meat. And you're like, maybe if I don't ask any questions, it can be whatever I think it is. Because then, I also got a lot of stuff at the dollar store, even as a kid, that I look back and I'm like, that probably wasn't the best. Like a good example, if you know, when you shop at a dollar store, especially if you ever got toys at the dollar store, that dollar store toys are in a very specific, slightly copyright infringed arena of toy. You would have a G.I. Joe, but it doesn't say G.I. Joe. It just says soldier. And you buy this soldier, and it even got the setup like a G.I. Joe, like it stands like a G.I. Joe, but the legs a little too short. So some very long arms. I couldn't tell if the arms were long or the legs were short. And it doesn't have like grip action. It says that on the front, grip action. It just has a hole. They didn't make a hand. They made a hole stub. And then this hole stub is what you go ahead and put the little toy gun through. But then they didn't really measure out the gun versus the hand. And so the gun is not in proportion at all. So it looked like this would blow his arm off if he tried to shoot it. But you bring it home and you're playing with it. And you're like, yeah, soldier, get him. And he's like, I'm gonna get him. Oh, I'm gonna get him. They getting it right now. Trust me. Trust me. Nah, they getting it. Look. Point me over here. Point me over here. No, it was terrible. It was very bad. It was horrible. You know, you would have those dollar store crayons. That's another one. It's a very specific type of drawing as a kid, because those dollar store crayons, they melt in your hand. So you got to be quick with it. You got some imagination. It needs to come out now. You got to put those crayons in the fridge. I remember being around some of these Crayola crayon kids being like, your crayon's stale as hell. Man, y'all don't even freshen up your crayons. That's crazy. That's why your pictures stink. You know what I mean? My pictures smell like leftovers. I remember one of my favorite toys from the dollar store was like a Stretch Armstrong, right? But it was Stretch Arm. It would only stretch for like 3 days. You only got 3 good. After that, it would get hard. And if you tried to stretch it after it got hard, it would cut your finger open. I don't know what it was made of, but it was the most malleable, unmalleable thing. It was Play-Doh and adamantium together. No, it was crazy. And that's the thing too, is when you're growing up in this situation, for anyone who knows what I'm talking about from experience, then you also know that it's very hard to know that you're broke, especially if you're a kid. It's hard to know if you are surrounded by love. My family loved me so much, so much. They still do. I make it sound like that's. Make it sound like there was a falling out. They still love me. But no, I was surrounded by love. I had my grandparents, and my mom, and my dad's love. I had my aunt, and my uncle's love. I had my cousin's love. I had so much love around me. And when you're surrounded by that much love, you don't know that you don't have money when you have that much love until you meet somebody who has both. That is a curious experience. Like when you're like, oh, you got both parents and a pool? Okay, I think there can be upgrades to life. I see that now. To me, greed is a paradox, because you want everything. Even if you have more than enough, even if you have so much that what you have is starting to hurt you in the long run. You see it with the way that hedge funds cannibalize whole companies. It's like, okay, everybody made some short-term profit, but now this thing that people used to love doesn't exist. You know? Like you take like a Southwest. You know, Southwest, people used to love Southwest. Bags fly free. Affordable tickets. You just sit wherever. You don't have to wait for the person. Southwest used to be so fire because then you don't have to wait for the person to get to their seat, and you don't have to get up for anybody. Do you know what it's like to just be in your seat on the plane? And everyone's almost here. There's a couple of stragglers. There's almost nobody coming down that aisle anymore. You even settle in. You're like, oh, I may not have a seat next to me. This may be the promised land. You get so comfortable, you're like, man, I might put my other leg over here. Southwest had a brilliant idea. And the bags. The bags were flying for free, which makes sense. The bags don't know where they're going. Why should I have to pay for this bag to have an experience too? You know? And then greed, and then private equity, and then hedge funds, and then, shareholder meetings, and then dividends. All the things start to creep in, and it's like, maybe we'll stop doing everything that is why everyone likes us. Maybe we'll just be like the other airlines. They make money, but then you actually look at the people who fly Southwest, and they were like, oh, y'all aren't nice enough to be like them, though. Like, your seat doesn't even go back like that. Why would I pay for everything here that I pay for over there? That's crazy. And so then you see people plummet, because they're making decisions based on money, but not money that they need, just more money that they might be able to get. You know? And there's only there's only so much that a business can grow. I understand a startup's passion, and that passion makes sense because the company just started. But after a while, it's like, do you really need to own everything? If the answer is yes, it's like, and they don't say it to us. They say it to each other. You ever get a hold of a recording of a closed-door meeting and the way they talk about their own customers? You know? That's why greed is like a paradox to me. You're so greedy that then you end up cannibalizing your own company, your own efforts, yourself. You end up hurting yourself. American greed is another paradox, because as much as we know that the millionaires and billionaires maybe got their money in a way that's a little nasty, we also kind of want to be them a little bit. Everybody wants their piece, but we know how bad it is. You know, there are people who I know who want to be billionaires. They aspire to be billionaires. But if you ask them to name like a good billionaire, it's a hard quiz. But they want to be the billionaire because they're like, no, I will be different. How? You know? That to me is like a drug dealer saying, no, I'm gonna be different. Oh, how so? Oh, I'll only sell drugs to bad people. How will you know that they're bad people? Word will get around and they'll buy my drugs and I'll be like, that's a bad guy. No, it's not gonna be different just because it's you. That's the trick as well. No, it's different when I do it. It's different when it's me. It's different when it's for me. It's different when it's for my family. Right? So then you hear people talk about recession. That recession is coming, recession is looming. And to be fair, people have said that since the last recession. Every year, I'm not an economist, but every year there's somebody that's like, it's coming. Get ready, batten down the hatches. And so you're in this situation where, people are very worried, and understandably so. Because it's not really about the money. Money is mostly like the conduit. Money's mostly the placeholder. There are people who find money to be a game, and for them, the number is the important thing. How much actual money they can stack and hoard is the real thing. I want to show how rich I am is the real thing. But for almost everybody else, it's about their survival. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about taking care of the people that you love. So when they hear that there's going to be a recession, they're not really thinking like, oh, the number will go down. They're thinking about food. They're thinking about housing. They're thinking about resources. And the only way forward is with other people. We've proven that this thing doesn't work. And by this thing, I'm not just talking about like one specific system. I'm not talking about like capitalism. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about we've proven that a true rat race does not work. I can't believe the world watched Squid Game and was like, yeah, I think I could win the pot. The pot is the problem. You know? And then I think the other problem is that if you are pitted against people, if you're pitted against the other 330 so million Americans, then yeah, the odds look insurmountable. But when you see how many people are actually in your situation, and you see how many millions of people are just like you, and you put yourself on the same side as them, all of a sudden, all of the weight, it gets a little bit easier. You know? There are people around the world that will never have access to the things that we have access to that make it work. And so sometimes we stress, oh, how am I going to make it work? And it's like the number one way is through community. Your future is your neighbor. There's no other way forward. And I know that can be scary. That's an idea where you have to lay down so much trust at the feet of people that you don't know. That's very scary, because I've had good neighbors and I've had bad neighbors. I've had very bad neighbors. I had a neighbor who stole my trash can. It's the trash can. You could just put your trash in there too. Stole my trash can and lived next to me, like I'm not gonna notice my trash can. And he was big too, and I'm pretty sure he sold drugs, so I wasn't gonna take my trash can back. But I was like, I will put my trash in my trash can over here though. Just because you stole the trash can doesn't mean I'm gonna get another trash can. It's a trash can, and trash goes in. You could put your trash over here, but then you wanted to put it in front of your yard. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm sure you have a gun, so I won't make a big deal of it. But I've had bad neighbors, and I've also had incredibly kind, incredibly sweet neighbors. I had neighbors that made any transition period I've been having in my life easier. I remember when I moved to Chicago and I was living in my first apartment, I had a neighbor that knocked on my door. I had been living there for like 2 days, and I didn't have stuff. I'm like this broke kid who just moved to Chicago with like 2 suitcases of like clothes and a couple of other things. And so knocks on my door, and it's like, hey, this older guy, and he's like, hey, I saw that you moved in. If you need anything or you have any questions about the building, just hit me up. I live right there. And I'm thinking he's like the building manager or something. So I'm like, oh yeah, what's your name? And we get to talking a little bit. And as we're talking, I realize he doesn't work for the building at all. This dude is literally just checking on me for the sake of checking on me. And he's like, if you need anything, because I saw, you were having a little trouble, I couldn't have caught up to you, but I was gonna help you up and everything. And I was like, oh, thank you, man. And we didn't see each other often. And I remember the day that I moved out, because I ran into him again. I ran into him and his wife. And he was like, man, I'm sorry to see you go. Because I can tell, we never really got to chop it up or anything, but I could tell that I like the way you move. And you didn't cause any trouble. You were just cool. And I wish I would have knocked on your door a couple more times, right? I never forgot about that guy, because even knowing that there was someone there if I was having a problem, it just made living there on my own a little bit easier. Just in the back of my head. Once again, we didn't even have that many interactions. I only knocked on his door a couple times. And the couple of times I knocked on his door, he needed help too. There was one time where we had in our building a chute for the laundry that nobody used. Nobody ever used it because it's not like it was one person. Do you know what I mean? Like, the chute for, this isn't Eloise. Like, it's weird that there was a chute for the laundry because it just went to the floor down there, and you'd have to go down there to wash your own clothes anyway. So I guess if you wanted to save yourself the weight of the trip, you could push all the clothes down and let them get nice and nasty, and then slip through the chute and then hit the ground, and now It's got different stuff on it than the reason that you're washing it. So nobody used it. And nobody used it because it was nasty. And so then one day, the actual building manager poured a whole bunch of, like bug poison down it to try to, like, kill some of the bugs that had been living in there. And the bugs were like, you know what? I think we'll go everywhere else. And so then one day I came home and my apartment was just overrun with bugs, and it didn't make sense because I didn't even have stuff. I had a fork, a bowl, like it was kind of like a saucer. It wasn't a plate. It was a plate that you would put a teacup on. I didn't even have dishes to be nasty enough to have all these bugs. So I'm freaking out. I'm killing a bunch of bugs, and then I run over and I knock on his door, and when I open his door, he looks like me. He's like, you too? And both of us just knowing that we're both dealing with bugs was enough to make the whole thing easier. He helped me kill some of my bugs. I helped him kill some of his bugs. And we were both very upset with the building manager. I had another neighbor when I was living this like short little bit in this, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like, it was a house, but it was like, you know how there's it wasn't a duplex. Okay. The house I was living in was like perfectly split in two, right? To make two unlivable houses. Okay? So I wasn't staying there for long, but it was just two completely unlivable houses, right? And I had a neighbor that lived next to me where I moved in, and once again, this older lady, so sweet, sweet as could be, knocks on my door, and it's like, hey, I saw that you just moved in. She had baked something, like old school, like out of the movies. She had baked something. She was like, I made you a little something, some muffins. I know moving is hard. I know sometimes you don't have anything to eat right after you move, so this is for you, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And she was like, yeah, you know, I like to help people get their bearings, and just so you know, I just want to be the one to tell you so you don't have to find out on your own. There's a crackhead in the wall. And when you get that type of warning, it does make you look at the muffins twice. One has nothing to do with the other. But I was still like, oh. And she was like, yeah, we thought it was a bird for a long time. And then he started talking. And so if you hear anything in the middle of the night, just pound on the wall a couple times and he'll stop. I was like, okay. All right, okay. And I closed the door, and I sat in silence for the rest of the night, waiting to hear a noise that would never come. It wasn't until like months later I heard some scratching in the wall, and I was like, how does somebody just live with it? Like, and so I knocked on her door, and she came to the door. She was like, you hear him too. And I was like, look, I know you lived here longer than me, but in case it is a bird, maybe we should call animal control. Just throwing it out there, right? And she's like, you can do what you want. I called animal control, and then they could hear the scratching too. And then they went ahead and went on the roof, and they said that they found a slight hole in the roof, and turns out it was a bird. It had been a bird the entire time, And I'm pretty sure it was a bird when she heard it, but maybe she just had the TV on. Maybe she was like, he's talking. Animal control leaves with the bird. I go over, I tell her it was a bird, animal control called the bird, and she was like, thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much. That has been happening for like 8 months, off and on, and I was positive it was a crackhead. And I guess that's what a good neighbor does. I guess a good neighbor lets you know nobody's in your wall. Because I think fundamentally the toughest thing people are facing right now is like a true way forward where they can trust other people to help them and take care of them. And I can't tell you to just blindly put your faith in people that you don't know, even if they live next to you. But what I can tell you is that most people return energy. Most people give like for like. So if there's a community that you want around you, all you have to do is be its founder. If you are the one knocking on your neighbor's door, letting them know you're here, if they need anything, they'll probably do the same for you. And it's so simple to build community. It's so much more likely that you're gonna build community than you're gonna become a billionaire. Do you know what I mean? Like, both things are incredibly hard to do. They take a lot of hard work and everything, and one of them means everyone will hate you. Because when you're broke as well, the thing that happens, I think, the most often is that we have a real misunderstanding of each other. Rich people, the rich people that I've met in my life, no rich person I know feels rich. They feel comfortable. Now, they'll do whatever it takes to maintain their level of comfort, but they don't feel rich. They're like, no, I'm just comfortable. I'm just chilling. And you show them how much they make, and they're like, yeah. I gotta maintain, I got kids, and then you show them how much the rest of the world makes, and they're like, ooh. Okay, maybe we don't tell anybody how much I make. And the same thing, when you're broke, there's a genuine misunderstanding around the decisions that people make when they're poor, around the way that people think, because there's not the possibility of thinking past tomorrow, because you're not even sure you're gonna get there. Do you know what I mean? When you really don't have means, when you really don't have money, you come off wild sometimes because all your requests are strange, because you're just trying to piece things together just so you can make it to the next day. Like a good example is I used to work at a grocery store, and one time in the break room, we're eating our lunch, and this one dude opened his lunch and then just said out loud to everybody, hey, I made a hamburger at home, but oof, does anybody have a top bun? Sir, they're always sold even. How did this happen? We look at money as paper, right? At least when it's in its physical form, it's this paper thing. But it's more than paper. There's fabric weaved into it. There's linen, there's cotton. It works the same way that society works. There's fabric that weaves all of us together. And there are people who have not been able to participate in the opportunities of making money or making their well-being out of these chances in the market the way that other people have. And so when you tell them that a recession is coming, they're like, oh, a what? Okay. I was already broke. Do you know what I mean? What is a recession to somebody who was on the street the whole time? I guess the best example I can give is one time I was at a party with my friends, and I fell in the pool. And falling in the pool at a party is one of the more embarrassing things you can do when it's not a pool party. If you fall in the pool at a party where people are just sort of standing around the pool and talking, you might as well have fallen off the roof. But I fell into the pool at the party, which is not just embarrassing, it's not just annoying, because out now all my clothes are wet and everything. It's terrifying because I can't swim. You know what I mean? I'm not a swimmer in the way that I would like to be, and the way that I would like to be is to be able to survive. And so when it comes to swimming, I'm not a fan, I'm not efficient. And so I get in the water, and when you don't swim, and I don't just mean can't swim, I'm saying when you don't swim, like for fun or anything, being surrounded by water out of nowhere is very concerning. I didn't realize I had stepped into the pool until I was in the pool. So now what I feel like has happened is that I turned around and water surrounded me. And so I start doing what I think swimming is innately. I start fighting the water, right? I'm punching and I'm kicking and I'm like, get off me, water, but I'm in the water. But I'm like, get back, I don't want you over here. And that's not how water works. And so I'm sifting through the water, and it's almost like swimming, except I'm staying in place underneath it. So that is drowning. That's what drowning is. When you're swimming perfectly, but you're not going up above and you can't get your head up, you're not actually swimming, you're drowning, and it's also exhausting. You're fighting and you're punching, you're kicking, and you're moving, and you're doing a pretty good job of drowning. If you could get your head above water, this would be swimming. And if you could get your chest up, if you could do that butterfly thing, now you're a swimmer. But I am over here, no more water. Get out of my face, right? So then it takes someone pulling me out of the water for me not to actually drown. And not right after, not soon enough after, but pretty soon after, we leave the party. And not as soon as you would like if you almost drowned. You know what I mean? Like and it's tough too, because like the dude saved you as your ride. So now he's doing you two favors, you know? So then, you know, man saves me, and my buddy pulls me out of the water, and now, you know, we stay an extra 20 minutes because now he's got his MAC points for saving a life in front of everybody, you know? That's what most embarrassing. The only thing more embarrassing than like showing a whole party full of people you can't swim is to be sitting there wet while the person that saved you tries to mac on somebody. Just like, yeah, you know, I do what I can. I do what I try to help out the people, you know, and doing my best. And it's like, also, my man didn't. Look, I'm not necessarily trying to give notes on being saved, but like, my man did jump in the pool and grab me and lift me up and swim me to the shore of the edge of the pool, right? This man just stuck his arm in and kept clawing at me until he got the back of my shirt. That's barely saving. Like, when I tell you that I'm over here, stop it, water, no, I don't want any more. And then he is over here, bow, and he missed like 8 times. So he was punching me in the head while trying to save my life. And he finally hooks his hand behind my collar and pulls me up the way that a cat sort of lifts its kitten in its mouth. You know what I mean? Just sloppy. And then I'm also still fighting. I don't know what's pulling me up, so I don't know if that's more drowning. I don't know what the effects of drowning feel like. So now I'm not necessarily fighting his hand, but I am still fighting the water. And so if you were on the other side of the pool, it does look like I was drowning. He reached in, dunked me one more time just to be safe. and then pull me up. Because I don't know that he's trying to help me. But when he finally pulls me up and I'm over here coughing up the water and everything, this man helps me get up out of the pool and then immediately sees the eyes on him and everything, sees the opportunity, and he's like, oh, yeah, you know. I do what I can. Also, I know he saved my life and everything, but also the fact that he didn't need to roll his sleeves up like that. Like that was even more just worth like, oh yeah, you know, I tried. Now you sitting here wet, just like, can you wrap it up, get the number or don't? And so then me, him, and some other friends head to his car once he's ready to leave, and his car won't start. Waited for nothing. Now, luckily, we were staying at his house, and luckily he did live close enough to the party that we could walk. It was like maybe, I don't know, like a mile and some change. It wasn't crazy. And so we start walking. As we start walking, it starts drizzling. And then it's drizzling a little bit more, drizzling a little bit harder, and then it really starts raining. And when it starts raining, all my friends did a different thing when it was raining. Like, I had one friend that did the turtle. Just walking and just trying to... And I get it, because he has some deep collarbones. He would have had 2 lakes on either side of his neck if he had just let the water hit. That would have been 2 puddles he had to carry. So I understand him trying to... And then I had another friend who was over here doing this, which genuinely pissed me off. That's one of the craziest things I've seen. You have 2 hands, one hand covering some of your head, but not even efficiently. Where's the distance management here? You'd be better putting the hand on your head. And then I had another friend who just decided to lean forward, because I guess he just doesn't want a wet front. He's just cool with it all hitting the back. And as it's raining and raining, my friend was over here doing this, turns to me, because I'm just walking. I'm not doing any of this. I'm just walking normal. And they're like, oh, John, you must not mind the rain. And I was like, I almost drowned 20 minutes ago. And that's what it's like when you're broke. You're almost drowning all the time. So when people try to scare you with talks of a recession, you're like, why would I? What? You're doing this. I'm already wet. And the way to ensure that you're gonna be okay, the way to ensure that your family is gonna be okay, is by creating chains, by linking up together with other people, with other families, because the way forward, your future, I guarantee you, it's not in the market. There's a belief that, like, if I can just get enough ahead, maybe I'll pull some other people with me, and that sort of thinking is the reason that we as the people can be taken advantage of so easily when it comes to money. It's like, I can get you a little bit ahead. Oh, I'd like to be a little bit ahead, right? But the way forward, your future, I promise you it's in your neighbor. I promise you, there's no one that's gonna take care of you like the people that are actually next to you. And it's kind of daunting to me. It does freak me out a little bit that there are so many people, every election, every year, no matter who's president, that expect the person in office to make them rich. Don't you know this is America? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just not how it works. It's not how it's ever worked. You may like the person in office, you may not, but I guarantee you they're not gonna make you rich. That's not how anything works. And don't get me wrong, I've had dreams before. I had a hard time getting to know people, and I had a hard time communicating with people. I'm an only child, and my mom wanted me to have friends so I wouldn't be crazy. And so, as a single parent with one kid, my mom, the only thing she knew how to do was go ahead and take me over to her other single parents, friends' houses where they had one kid. And she was like, maybe y'all will just play and not be crazy together. And sure enough, there was a time in my life where my parents got back together, and so we were a two-income household, so I started to get the good toys, right? The real good toys. I'm talking WCW, NWO, wrestling toys, Sting, Goldberg, Kevin Nash. And sure enough, you know, I remember I got those toys. Those are some of my favorite toys in the world because I didn't know ankles had come out yet. I would hold up my Kevin Nash and I'd be like, bow, 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 bow. Look what he does. Bow, 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 bow. He had knees, he had ankles, he could do this. That's crazy. I was used to this only. Maybe if you were getting fancy, some of this, but I wasn't used to this. This thing right here, this is crazy. Real shoulder movement? My mind was blown. It's like, look at what this thing can do. Bow, 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 right? And so then my mom took me over to her friend's house, and her friend had a kid, and you know, I went ahead and brought over two of my toys. I brought my Kevin Nash and I brought my Sting because I'm trying to make a good impression. And so we're talking, they're talking, and finally we go to his room to play, and my mom leaves to go run some errands or something. And I quickly realized after my mom left that he was crazy. He was genuinely crazy because all of his toys, every single one of his toys, didn't have a face. None of his toys had faces. I don't know if he was chewing them or if he was burning them, but they were gone. And so he looked at my Sting toy and he was like, oh, we have the same one. And I was like, I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how that's possible. And then sure enough, this kid pulls out his Sting toy, and I know we have the same toy because the Sting had the jacket. The jacket you could put on, you could take off and everything. And so we're playing, and I'm trying to be a collaborative new friend, right? I'm like, what do you want to do? You want to do Legos? You want to do like wrestlers, whatever? And then we decide Legos. So I was like, do you want to build a castle? You want to build a wall? What do you want to do? So we decide to build a castle, right? And then this kid, we're halfway through the castle, maybe 100 pieces to go. And this kid grabs the castle, lifts it up, throws it against the wall. It explodes into like 190,000 pieces. And I'm like, what did you do that for? And he goes, don't talk to me. And I was like, oh man, yeah, chill, Satan, chill, okay? Back up, devil, okay? Because I had been prepared in case the situation happened, because I knew I wasn't a crazy only child, but I knew there were other crazy only children out there. So I already had my thing on me, right? I had that lance in my back pocket. I was like, don't you come near me. I will cut you open. This thing is 6 weeks old.